Okay, welcome back again. As I told you, we'll be going on to learn how to create database by using MySql. So the tips will always come up, but you don't need it now. MySql can hold up to thousands and thousands of data without getting tired. But when you use Microsoft, how do you call it? Is it Access or Microsoft? Let's see. Microsoft. Where am I? Microsoft. Okay. All those Microsoft database, like with the is there Access DB and Access DB and maybe SL. You will always get full and giving you problems day in and day out. But when you use MySQL, it doesn't get full for a very long time, and it can take as much data as you want, or as much data as it can take for you to be able to, for the database to be able to be full. And I've been using MySQL for a very long time, but I've never experienced any full database or something. So let's try and create a new table, which I've already created one, but for this lesson's sake, let's try and create a new table from scratch. And all these buttons here have functions and need users, but as we go through them, you'll be able to see why and when they are all needed to be used. So when you look here, that's your databases. All your registered databases will be showing down here. All your registered databases will be showing down here. And when you want to create a database, this is the button, or this is where you're supposed to click. And we have a managing existing database. That's when you click on that, you can upload a database or the current. There's a database on your system, but it's not how do you call it? It's not it's not registered down here, so you can't see it now. But through the managing, you'll be able to see it, or you can maybe delete it or something. You can execute script from. You can execute the SQL script from a file, maybe a note test file, and all that. You can manage users. That's where you can add your password and usernames and all that. And also we have the help, which when you click on, it will just reference you to a page where you need all those help. It will take you through. So now let's go on to creating our new database. You click on create new database, and the name that will appear here, or you can change it, is the name that you want to give fit to your database. This is going to be your database name, so you are supposed to take notice of that. So let's see, how do you name it? My first DB, and that's it. You know, when you are starting your database, when you're naming your database, you can't start with there's some reserved how do you call it, icons or symbols which you can use, like this dots and all that. It will not accept it. So I will advise you to start with maybe a capital or maybe a small letter, then the name, then underscore bb, or maybe you can start with a number or something. It doesn't really matter what you start with, but if you just name it as simple as you can, so as simple as you can remember, so that anytime you want to have access to your database, in your coding, you just be able to remember. So let's go on. Register after creating. That's when you click, you check this, that's when it will register as a default on your database, on your local host. When you uncheck, that means when you go next and you finish, it will not register, but you have to go here and register. So let's check. Then after that, I will take you through where when this thing is not unchecked, is unchecked, then you go and register. Okay, we go next. We are here. That's our next page. The local host, that's which we are running on right now. And my username is root. My password, there's no password for this, because I normally use it on my system. I don't normally go in for any password. But when I'm hosting my database online, I use my online database username and password, and this is the port I'm using. You can have access to different hosts by using the tunnel. We have the tunneling, the HTTP tunneling, and then SSH tunneling. And also you can change the port name to have access to any other host name. The moment you are connected to that particular host, then it will appear here. With your port name change, it will appear here and you will be able to have access to it. But since we are using our local host, then we go next. Then you go finish. Let's see. You can go finish, and that's it. You are done. That is the host name, the username, password. As I told you, I don't have any password. And you see, there's the database name. I can choose the old database that I have, but it will be a replica of it, and it's going to give us problems. So just leave it like that. The database alias is the name that will appear here, and you can change it. It doesn't really matter. It doesn't take anything out from the database. We have a client, a car set. Just leave it as default, and that's it. You are done. Go OK, and you are done. Your database is created. Yay, glad yourself. You're done very well creating your first database, and that is excellent. So let's see. Let's unregister this database and register it back. So we don't have right now, we don't have any database yet. Or if maybe you've been able to execute a script, it will not register for you, so you have to go up here and register database. And when you get here, it's same as creating a database, where you go next, and where the database name is, you click on the drop down. It will list all the database you have on your system, and you choose the one you want to work with, and you go OK, and that's it. Your database appears down there, and you are done. So let's try and create some tables. Since we've been able to create a database here, let's try and create some tables. So when you click on tables, you don't have any tables, you don't have any views. So let's click on create new table, and this is what you have. Your table name, your storage options, that is your storage option, your storage engine, the row format, the mini row, and all that. All these are default, and I'll always advise you to just leave them on just like that. InnoDB, I think, is perfect for you. The fields and the DDL, I'll take you through that. So your table name, let's say what are we, it depends on what you really want to create. And what I think about database more, or makes your database more robust and work effectively, you are supposed to plan your database on a sheet of paper before you just jump on developing it. If you don't draft it or plan it on a sheet of paper and you just jump on the database designing it, you always come back to it and it will be a hell for you, like day in and day out. So let's say table 1, I'll name it my first table, my first, because this TV, and that's it. I'll go to the next. So that means my table is created. You can click on compile and you are done. Your table is created, but without any fields. So let's go to this page, and for each database that I create and for all my tables, I always go in for an ID and I make it auto increment as unique, and I go okay. For all my tables, it's really advisable to have my ID auto increment on it, and I'll go compile. That means my table is created, as I can see here, my first TV, and I've created my first table. So let's try and add more fields to it. You just come in here, you right click, and you go new field, and it'll pop up this for you. Then you continue, maybe username, I'll go for a varchar, and the size, you have to take this into consideration. Is your username size going to be under 20, the file size, that's the character, the space that you contain, or is it going to be more than 20? So you have to take that into consideration. As I was telling you earlier on, you're supposed to plan your database before you develop it. So let's say my own will take 50. There's some stubborn users who always want to go in for a very long username. I don't think people have a username about 50. Okay, so let's see. As I've already compiled it, it always refreshes on its own, and my field is already created. Let's go for a new, we'll go for a password, and that's it. I'll go for varchar, password more than 20. Okay, we go 50, and that's it. I'm done. The name, let's say time, that's the time, the login, time log. We'll go for time span. I'll go for a time span, and this will tell you, or it will save it automatically, the time the person logs in, the last time the person logs in. So anytime the person logs in, if you want to save their time that they log in, then you go for the time span automatically. So you can click on that. That's a default current time span, and on update to, so that on each update it will be storing for you. Okay, and that's it. So we are done creating our tables. So these are the properties of our table. Is an InnoDB table, and we have one auto increment value, that's our ID, and we have a field. So the fields, this ID is our primary key. This is our primary key. Okay, and go for the indices. So when you go for the indices, it tells you that the ID is our primary key, as I was telling you. of foreign keys. There's no foreign keys yet, but we'll be dealing with foreign keys very soon. There are no triggers, and there are no data. The data, you can add data to your database from here, but it will be very appropriate to enter data from your database through an easier way, maybe through a web or a standalone system or a remote system. There are no dependency, and the DDL talks much more about how do you call it, the scripts that you can use. So if I copy this and run it, it will create this table for me. So this is the script that I have. The whole database that I've created, these are the scripts that created the database for me. So as you can see, it's easier to use MySql to create your tables or to manage your database. So I hope to see you here next time by dealing with database views next time. Then after that, we will see how we can export or import our database and our tables and views. Thank you for being with me. And as I always say, you can contact me on jatttakora@gmail.com, and I always respond. Thank you for your time.